Hello, hello, welcome on in. Get started in a second, just... I haven't watched my streams for a while, but just wanted to pop in. Well, thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. Always fun having people in chat. Thanks, Jim. My stuff is not plugged in, that's not right. There we go. Eating a burger without honey mustard. Do you usually put honey mustard on them? Oh, burgers are so good though. I usually prefer ketchup, mustard, and pickles on mine. Maybe some onions if I'm feeling fancy. Barely use Twitch anymore. Fair enough. Yeah, sometimes you just don't stick around on a platform. I mean, I'm desperately trying to keep my Instagram account together, but I keep forgetting it exists. Sometimes you just got other shit to do. Very tired today. I am excited though because it's starting to get colder outside, which is good news because the area I'm in, we didn't used to get snow. We had way too much rain. We would get slush. But something climate change, we get snow now. The one good part of climate change is we got cold enough for snow, but that does mean that our summers got way harder, sure. Our summers got way hotter, which does suck. But snow is very pog. I love snow. And my plan, I don't have a lot of like entertainment for myself plans, or like just like winter themed activities I plan to do, other than the holidays, but I know that Other than the classic claymation like Christmas movies, my one plan for movies I solidly intend to watch once it starts snowing is the Santa Claus trilogy, spelled this way because it's like a document clause. It's a very silly movie series, but I wanted to watch it last year and I never got around to it, so I figured this would be the time. Because it's fucking ridiculous. Spoiler alert, in the first one, Santa falls off a rooftop because he gets spooked by our main character mid-present delivery. And then the main character grabs like a card out of his jacket and becomes Santa because of like a contract that's like, oh, by picking up and reading this card, you have agreed that legally you are now the new Santa, which not how contracts work in real life. There has to be a level of informed consent, but it's all fun in games for movies. But it just gets more ridiculous every movie from what I've heard of the plot, so that'll be fun to watch. I am generally excited for the claymation movies too, because I could watch them now, sure, but like the fun of it is for it to be like cold and it's snowing outside and you get all comfy in a blanket with like some hot chocolate, maybe a bit of popcorn, and then you binge a bunch of ancient movies. It's the spirit of the season. The most Christmassy thing I'll do. I don't actually celebrate Christmas. Yeah. We celebrate Yule. We do the like presents thing, but we do stuff a little differently from Christmasers at my house. Still good fun though. What character am I drawing? Oh, right. I have so many of them that like I'll start drawing one and then be like, wait, which one is this? Like which universe is this one from? I don't quite recall. Cause I have like 16 different plots going on right now. I've told no one outside of my real life friends about it because I can't be bothered to make comprehensive lore posts quite yet. At least not without art attached to them. Why do I make his torso so long? I don't know. I haven't solidified his design. This one I'm rather fond of though, because his like the defining feature for him, because he's a character in like a group of friends. It's like a sort of dystopian kind of universe thing. Do I want to get into the lore right now? No, another day. But so him and his friends live in like this building. It's like massive structure, mostly vertical. That's dangerous, mind you, the mostly vertical part, because there's like gaps in the center. There's like hallway district things. And there's like railings, and every level has their own like net that strings across it for safety purposes, but like it's a dystopian novel, it's not that well kept. People are gonna fall and get hurt, clearly. But so there's this group of friends that come from like different sectors. And, you know, they're a bunch of rowdy teens, that kind of thing, figuring out how to exist in a world in general, but especially one that is not nearly... I say not nearly as forgiving, but is our world really forgiving? But we have, you know, a character from the botanist sector. I haven't, like, fleshed things out entirely, but I do know there's a little plant guy, and then he's not made of plants, he just likes plants. And then there's this character who is I don't know where he's from. This is the story I have thought the least about, plot-wise, but I have gone a little further with their designs than some other stories that I have. And his, like, fancy defining feature is that his face McFucking gone. That shit replaced with robot. So he has, I've thought a bit about the mechanics of what's under this, like, shield. Like, it's mostly attached to the processes necessary for, like, seeing and, like, processing information and stuff. I haven't thought about, vitals quite yet with, like, breathing, eating, and drinking water, but we'll get there. What I do know is that he's got a shield that goes over it, for, you know, the internal circuitry's protection, of course. You don't want it going haywire. And also because it looks cool and allows him to have expressions again, because, LEDs and light technology, and he likes drawing, so he animates it. So he has, like, different, images for, like, different quote-unquote facial expressions, and, like, whether he's talking or not. And then he, I do know very specifically, like, if he's pissed off enough, he, like, doesn't have a face anymore. Like, all of this, like, cutesy little facial detail things will disappear, and instead of it being, like, solid black with white lights illuminating the facial features, it'll just turn, like, completely red. So, you know, instead of anything like this, it would just be, like, probably a darker red than that. But, like, you know, point is, my guy, not happy. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Changed my brush size. Oh no. Okay. Hello, welcome in, Akaranai. Just drawing some of my characters here. I don't have names for most of them. They're mostly half-detailed skeletons, but we're figuring it out. Yes, art streams. I'll be doing another one on Friday. Yeah, I'm not sure if I have a favorite between the art streams and the, I'd say gaming streams, but it's entirely Hollow Knight right now. Because, like, the Hollow Knight, it's very fun, but there's a lot of thinking involved because I have to figure out where I'm going, what I'm doing, that kind of thing. I see. I don't think that'll work. Is it not filled? Oh, wait. No, the, like, thresholding. Okay, that's fine. Like, the game is very fun, but it sure does take a lot of mental effort. The art streams are far chiller because I've found that, sketching and character designing to an extent I can do just, like, autopilot brain off. Which is also why I will never render on stream again. That I can't do brain off. Well, no, I guess I do it too much brain off. I'm not gonna fill that in. I can't be bothered. It's like the sketching process, I do this basically every day, so it's second nature to me. But then I tried rendering on stream once and just, I spent like a solid minute doing the same line over and over again and just spacing out completely, and then I looked back at chat and went, whoops. Honestly, can't try to save my life, so you're already 10,000% more talented than me. Oh, come on. Not talent, it's skill. I mean, look at a baby. You think they could draw a masterpiece? Never. I'm certain there's a baby out there that can draw a masterpiece, but we're not gonna go looking for that. I appreciate the compliments, though. Yeah, it's all about, you know, what interests you, and if you're engaged enough in something to get good at it, incredible. If you don't wanna, also incredible, because there are other people who will. Okay, how does this hair go again? Right, middle part, because I had to force myself to give him a middle part because I give none of my characters middle parts. It's a problem. It's a terrible problem. I keep giving them the exact same part on the same side of the head every time. Okay, so he's got the, like, braid situation going on. Because something that should be the coldest take on the planet, do I remember how to draw braids? Yes. Guys should... long hair. Pog. Men with long hair? Incredible. Quality design concept. In real life, too. Now that's character design. Okay. That looks enough like a braid. We're not here to make it look good. If I wanted to do that, I'd spend like 5 minutes on it, which I have on a different art piece. But we're not doing that today. No, stylistically, I'm not gonna do the double braid. It doesn't work with this hair size. You know, I realize I keep forgetting to grab, like, reference images for these characters before streaming, which, because it'd be useful for me, because I'd be able to look at them. And it'd also be useful for chat, because they'd know where I'm going with this. It's too late now, I'd have to take a photo of it, it's a physical piece of media, but I say for next time, I won't remember. Looks weird for some reason. You have any plans for the coming December? My plans, consist of freeing up scheduling and watching cozy holiday movies. I do not. I have some family I have to take the babies to, but that's about it. Is the plan then to be chill and vibing? Because that's incredible. Holiday season gets too hectic sometimes, honestly. Like, I understand why it does, I just... Oh, the stress, can't be bothered. Pretty much? Hell yeah. I can't imagine it's easy to achieve relaxation with children, though. Okay. Yeah, good enough. Gets the point across. I should give him an ear. Yeah, I got 3 babies and they all want Nintendo Switches from Santa. Oh no! Oh, that can't be good for your wallet. Poor thing. I don't know. I don't know if Santa can manage that one this year, maybe. He's capable of many things, but, you know, gotta draw the line somewhere. Gotta be able to pay the elves a fair wage. No, but we'll see what we can do. Yeah. Consoles are, like, expensive. Like, real expensive. Have I made him shorter than he is? Oh no. How'd I pull that one off? How is he standing? Good enough. The proportions going on here baffle me, but I mean, they don't necessarily look bad, so. That's the strange thing is I've done this so many times that my own hand will autopilot sometimes, and then I'll end up with an image that I have no idea how it got there. Like, how did we get this far? I wasn't paying attention. I was looking somewhere else. Where'd this come from? I'm hoping they will be satisfied with lights though, because those are cheaper. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Funny enough, I ended up getting a Switch Lite originally instead of a Switch because I was like, this is cheaper, and I mean, I don't really have anything to like dock it to, so why bother getting a full Switch? And I mean, me personally, I have something to dock it to now because I have my PC, but I don't regret getting the Switch Lite. It's pretty good, and it funnily enough had better color accuracy than the original Switch release. I've found because my friends had normal Switches, and we've compared the screens and like the color accuracy on them, and mine was always better for some bizarre reason. And I mean, other than the not being able to dock or like attach or I guess like cast its video to anything else, it's pretty much the same as the Switch, just in a slightly smaller form factor. Makes it easier for, probably actually easier for younger kids. Yeah. Fingers crossed they're cool about it though. Kids don't care, they only care if it's YouTube lol. Yeah. Yeah, if they're not like hankering for being able to attach it to a monitor or TV, then the Switch Lite will be great. Probably better even. It's less expensive. If you don't already have Joy-Cons though, I would suggest at least grabbing like one set of those separately, because some games are like really pissy about having like attached Joy-Cons where they're like attached to the console and you can't take them off of the Switch Lite. Or like they don't the Switch Lite's native attachment controls don't have like rumble on them either, or like any motion control. ability other than what the Switch itself has. In my daughter's case, Minecraft, she's obsessed with Minecraft. Minecraft is so good! Ugh, great game. I got back into it after like several years because my computer could never run it. I'm having a grand time. I've never been able to get into console Minecraft though. Like the game itself doesn't run differently, I don't think. It's just Bedrock. But like I started Minecraft on computer, and every single time I've tried to play console with other people, I cannot wrap my head around those controls. It is so weird. Like going from something that you learned how to play at like, I don't know, age 7 or something on one control system and then trying to move to a completely different one is the strangest experience. You either? Yeah. Shadow of like the back of his hair. But too dark, I think. Oh, his face isn't round enough. Oops. That isn't supposed to curl in as much. It's mostly just like a round, not plastic covering, I guess. Kind of like a light bulb fixture. This is a very strange angle. It's like here, which works fine with the human face, but completely round object, not so much. Yeah, I think that works well enough. I've given him far too much of a jaw, though. His jawline is not snatched. Well, I guess it was snatched. It's gone now. Geez, what can I talk about story-wise? Because, like, for this story specifically, I really picked the best one, for starting off the stream with, the one that has the least information. Like, I haven't gone through the details very much. Like, I know they live over a, like, or, like, there's... Wait, is the water plant this one or a different version? Oh god, I don't have any of it written down. That's all kind of just, like, coagulated in the corners of my brain. Yeah, but dystopian novel, the teens, they're rowdy as fuck. Something something, they're absolute menaces, all of them. Very funny though. Because their menaces nature leads to quite the comedic interaction with the, well, I'd say calmer, but some of the other residents are equally fucking wild. So yeah, just some intriguing situations they find themselves in as silly little guys in a terrible world. I am not drawing the rest of this arm, so we're gonna do this cool artist trick called put it behind a different part of the body. It's this neat new concept where you don't draw it and instead hide it behind another thing. Genius. But there's this guy, there is another character who's the like the plant enjoyer, the tree hugger. And well, I tend to draw in a style more similar to this one. I also enjoy myself a good cartoonishy style. And I usually use that one for like blocking out character shapes. And like trying to get more variety in how I draw my characters. Because it gives me a little more freedom in being weird with the shapes and stuff. Like, I can just give this character absolutely massive calves and, like, non-existent ankles for the sake of it looking cool. You know, he's got the Mega Man boots going on. Right next to a character that actually does have ankles, and it doesn't necessarily look strange usually, as long as you do it right. I'm not gonna bother with that. But so there's those two, and then there's also a girl whose defining feature is that she has roller skates. With potentially funky cool activation and deactivation options, kind of like Heelys, but with 4 wheels, and they click in and out. That would require these to be like kind of platforms though. So I usually am thinking more along the lines of those like clip-in ones, where it's like a little attachment that you can hook into your shoe with the 4 wheels so that she can just like strap them on her belt or something. Moving on now. Maybe to a character with slightly more story behind them, perhaps. Oh, I could go in depth about the magic system in one of my 2 bigger worlds, because this is sort of like a mini project that I'm just doing for fun. But I have 2 larger story concepts, one of which I certainly want to like write into an actual book series. That's in the future though. I'm not ready for that yet. And then the other I might want to. They're both like fantasy-esque worlds, and you know, they have a variety of sentient species, not just humans and such. This one a little more fleshed out. The main story plot that I have going on for that one centers around 3 characters. It's actually because I came up with the idea for their plot, and then from there started developing the world. I have a very backwards path I take when doing world building. But so there's 3 characters. One of them is from a subspecies of avians. I don't have a name for any of anything yet. I've been referring to the characters as 3 upward symbols and 3 asterisk symbols in like my notes and stuff, just so that I know who I'm talking about. Really bad at naming things. It's absolutely hilarious. But so one of them is a part of this subspecies, which the original was like giant birds. I'm trying to be a little more creative with the creature design for those. So there's more to it than that, but like mostly the first concept was like just bird but big, like that one owl from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I can't think of any other examples right now. But so it started off from there, but with the influence of humans, we're not detailing why, TOS. We don't need to get into the nitty-gritty with that one. We'll save the biology lesson for later. Humans got their dirty little hands all over this species, and now there's some interesting developments. So it's kind of a species in the middle of like creation. You know, like fucking donkeys, or what's that one like hybrid animal that there's like a couple hybrid animals that really shouldn't exist but do somehow anyways. It's kind of something like that. And it's Mother Nature's working out the details. It's a little confuddling, so there's a lot of variety, which, hint hint, was mostly so that I could do whatever the hell I wanted with the character designs and no one could stop me. But so this character we follow is one of the ones that leans more towards the like middle of the sector. There's some that look far more human, there's some that look far more like their avian ancestors. this is sort of like the in-between. You know, there's a lot of details borrowed from both sides, be it the legs and their structuring from the birds, things like the wings, and their like ears, question mark. But you know, they have like very clearly the torso and arms and like head and neck of a human usually. Some of them are this, but a little more fucked up and got like sick ass bird necks on it. Looks real cool. This one though, this main character A, I suppose. I don't know. They're kind of equal to each other, I hope. The plan is to have like generally equal influence between the three of them. But this is not proportional in the slightest. What is happening here? I'm not gonna worry about that. This is a little doodle, whatever. But so main character A, who I refer to as this in my notes. He doesn't have a name. Right, general plot of this, 3 absolute douchebag assholes kind of trying to right the wrongs of the shit they fucked up. Somewhat. And other than that, mostly just like existing in a world learning how to be better people. Because they're douchebag assholes. So he comes, you know, he hails from the like, it's not a kingdom. They live up in the like mountains and stuff, higher open air areas generally. So there's like a civilization in that department. I wouldn't call it a kingdom. It's like their territory of like the place that they govern over. Because nowhere is species locked, but you'll generally find collections of the same species existing together with some stragglers from other species. So you have the main hub of where you'll find all the bird people, or like the human hub, and off in the desert where our third main character is originally from, there's, you know, the fucking cat foxes or whatever. We'll get there. Because it's like most suited to what they are like built for naturally. Like humans specifically as a species in real life are unique for being horrifyingly adaptable. Like, we don't specialize very much. We change with our environment like really quickly. But you know, in this story, that while that's still the case, these other creatures not so much. You know, they're also sentience in this universe. It's what I've been calling them, is the species that got the thinkers in their heads. But they aren't necessarily the same or even relatively similar to humans at all. Delete your art, kids. If it ain't looking right, get rid of it. Like they generally have areas that are more common for specific groups to just like merge together and stick together because it suits them best biologically. You know, the bird people are up in the mountains because there's a lot of open air up there, and with their feathers and stuff, insulation isn't really a concern. And you'll find the cat foxes off in the desert because, you know, they're mostly based off of like sand cats and fennec foxes and such. So like they're just built for desert climate, that kind of thing. And then the humans are kind of in like a middling area, like a sort of like more wild card location, and generally while they have a hub area, you know, where a lot of them congregate, you'll find if there is a species that is most often found as like the second most common in a major sector, it'll be probably humans, because you know you'll have like your main species that tends to this area, and then you'll have like a group of humans, and then you'll have the other ones hanging about occasionally, just because again, terrifyingly adaptable, can pretty much do as they please and their bodies will figure it out. Which came in very handy for future plot spoiler, because they kind of lost their hub sector. It kind of vanished-ish. The physical place is still there. The people, not so much. Blink of an eye, middle of the night, they were gone. And they took their history with them. They didn't write it down very well. But so regardless, we have our main character A, who's one of the avian creatures, and then main character B is one of the cat fox, whatever the fucks, and then main character C is a human. We'll say. I think he counts. I think that, yeah. That's for later. That's for later. This is gonna turn into a VOD, so we're not gonna have any spoilers here. I'm not too big of spoilers. Anyways. I think it's fun to keep secrets. But regardless, so these three kind of meet up middle of the forest-ish. You know, two of them run into each other. This one and the cat fox. In like the middle of the night, it's fucking freezing. They're like, ah, fuck it, efficiency. One of us already built a fire, the other brought extra firewood. I suppose we can tepidly coexist for the night, but that's it, you know? They don't really trust each other, but they're willing to, like, chill for a little bit, just so that they don't have to... just so that the one who originally made the fire doesn't have to go get extra firewood, and the one who showed up doesn't have to make their own fire. Generally, they depart in the morning, not intending to see each other ever again. Clearly not what happens, of course. They keep running into each other, and keep running into each other, because the magic of storytelling. Now, none of this is fleshed out, of course, but this is the general idea. And so they kind of get sick of it and go, ah, fuck it, whatever. You seem like you can be useful, so I guess we can travel together. It's weird. You know, like, one of us is going in this direction, the other is wandering, so may as well. And at some point along the way, they run into the third character, the human guy. Mostly a similar situation, I think. Either that, or one of them either needs him for something, or he needs them for something. I don't know. I haven't figured out the details on what sticks them together, because they're not exactly the kind to just hang out with strangers and just be like, yeah, why don't we go adventuring together, guys? You know, they're not exactly fond of each other for a long while. It takes a lot of character development to become legally friends. By all intents and purposes, friends. They'd never say that, though. But they get there, eventually. You know, they learn to be better people along the way. They don't save the day against some big bad. I thought about it. I thought long and hard about a big bad saving story, and decided against it, because I wanted to focus on just really fleshing out the level of garbage rats these three are. because they are absolute dumpster fires. They're my dumpster fires, of course. They're my favorite little dumpster fires, but the dumpster is still on fire. It's a focal point. It's an artistic. I don't think they belong in a gallery necessarily. Something commenting on the human experience. I don't know. I think it's funny. I've really forgotten how to draw his legs, haven't I? Why am I drawing his legs? I don't have to. And today is a do whatever I want stream. Ah, fuck it. Well, he's got arms in there somewhere, and then he's got the big ol' wings. He's got the big ol', oh no, not right click. He's a feathery boy who can fly. And then the tail, something. Bam, little guy. Now, alongside him, we have our Cat Fox character, who... Right, the reason they're assholes. This guy doesn't understand how to follow rules. Well, he does. He just chooses not to. He instead chooses to be a menace, knowing that it is putting other people in harm's way and danger. He learns information that he shouldn't have, and then takes that and breaks into an establishment, in his, like where, he hails from, his hometown, I guess. They have like a library archive, and he breaks his way into a section of it that, you're not allowed in without, like, permission, for the sake of, keeping things in order and generally people's safety. And he's breaking in because he wants access to more direct forms of that information that he learned. And he knows that this information has actively put people in harm's way, and he's trying to share it anyways, because something, knowledge is power. Some people get hurt, but it's worth it for the informment of the masses, or whatever. Which in some cases in real life can be fine, but in this specific case, it's literally just bad. It's just solidly bad. He just fucked up. And so, the Court of Ordeals are over here like, dude, what the fuck? No? No. How about no? And so they're like, get out, you're not allowed here anymore. You've caused us enough trouble thus far, leave. And so he gets exiled, basically, and goes wandering off into the forest. Now, the Cat Fox guy, this one, silly little dude. I haven't put as much thought into the specific events, but he's got very questionable morals when it comes to the safety of others. Like, he's more catalyst behavior. Like, he's, putting people in harm's way. This one is the harm. This one is, in fact, the harm that people are being put in the way of. He causes the problems. He is, in fact, the problem. And he's a vicious little bastard. he's certainly hurt people. Physically, emotionally, he's garbage. And it got bad enough that, you know, the people he sticks around with were also like, get the fuck out, or we will murder you. Because he murdered one of them first. They're like, pack your shit and leave. So he kind of had to, if he wanted to not die. Generally not a very nice person, and doesn't have much empathy in the way of the safety of others. So he tends to solve his problems with violence because it's quick and effective, and he's good at it. And I mean, he has the built-in weaponry for it. Little claws. But he's got the built-in weaponry for it, so it's not particularly difficult for him. I think I've forgotten how he's supposed to look completely. And then, of course, there's the third one, who, well, not necessarily putting people in danger usually. He's more just your regular piece of shit. He only really thinks about himself. He's relatively selfish. He doesn't care about his loved ones in a way that matters. He's kind of a garbage rat who will throw a fit if he doesn't get his way. He's a grown man, let me remind you. And but like, he will actively fuck shit up if he's not happy with something, instead of going about it in any civil way whatsoever. And people got sick of his garbage, so he ended up leaving because they wouldn't entertain his shit anymore. So he's off on his own too. And yeah, generally these three, they just slowly over their story, they learn that, hey, maybe the bullshit that I pull isn't cool. Maybe I need to chill out a little bit and maybe be a slightly better person. And they become friends over time. The silly little guys. Leaves room for much character development, plenty of lovely tender moments where they're like, oh my god, pleasant interaction with another person. I haven't felt this in months or years or whatever, for the drama of it. Because why write a story where characters are alone and sad if you aren't going to have them be alone and sad together and then tenderly coddle each other? Welcome into us, Glade. Like, what's the point if you don't do that? You know, what is the point of the story at all if your stoic loner, you know, like lone wolf characters don't have a moment of just like human connection where it gets all dramatic and shit? That's half the fun. Ayo, what we making? I am drawing several of my own characters. Mostly just doodling them on like a spreadsheet. Some better than others. I haven't warmed up today. Yeah, generally just a mostly chill day today, I think. And there's the third one, of course. The human guy. He's cool. I mean, he isn't. He's very specifically not cool. Hey, let's go. Hell yeah. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of fan art recently. I don't think I've actually drawn any of my own characters on stream, except for in the first stream. So this is relatively fun, getting to show off my own little guys, talk about them a little bit. Now what I'm really excited for is once I finish doodling this one, moving on to the other major story I have. Also, no iPad? What? Sorry, I don't know what you mean by that. Right, I think he has... relatively simple outfit. Right now he's got like the vest, I think. He doesn't have to wear it. Just put him in a basic shirt kind of thing. Not on my iPad today. I don't own an iPad. I've never drawn on one of those. I've actually never owned an Apple product, period. I think the closest I've got is like an Amazon Kindle, which I don't own anymore. I had that when I was like a little kid. Yeah, I've always been doing my streams on PC, Creta. Never mind. I remember watching somebody who had an iPad drawing Little Stitch. Oh yeah, no, that was certainly a different artist. Sounds fun though. I do want to get like a... maybe an iPad, probably more like some kind of Android tablet, because I'm just more used to the Android ecosystem and Apple products are expensive. But I intend on getting one probably a while into the future, just so that I can draw on the go a little easier, because let me tell you, drawing on a phone? Not fun! Like, I lived with it for a while, because I didn't have another option if I wanted to draw digitally. But I finally got my PC and experienced what pen pressure was like again. And I never want to go back. Like, I enter Metabang occasionally, mostly will leave like a few minutes later. Not having pen pressure after experiencing it is something. Also have a quick question. How do you usually draw your anatomy for a humanoid? Good question. Generally, I specifically will start from the torso. I used to start from the head, and I know some people who like start from the base of the feet, but the general idea is you want to get like a basic idea of your pose fleshed out. You can do that in a lot of ways. I usually will do like this very simplistic, almost like animation flower sack kind of look of just where the chest is, and if I plan to do a more dramatic angle, what direction the hips are going. Now, like, you know, slap out some lines for the legs, ground the character by making sure that they're like their feet are on the same plane. Mostly just throwing it out there, and then from there I will continue to flesh things out. Most of anatomy is just shapes. You just got to figure out the shapes. It's a lot of curves next to straight lines, and you know, back and forthing S shapes show up a lot. And then proportion wise, there's several tricks to how you can get behind that kind of thing successfully. But when it comes to anatomy in general, the best way to learn it is to break it down into pieces, is to like pick something that you want to get better at specifically, like either, you know, you want to figure out how to draw legs or joints or ankles or like shoulders. Joints I have such a hard time with. Or like hands and feet, or if you want to figure out how like necks and heads work, you want to focus in on it and get like really specific, because that's the easiest way to learn, so that you're not like bombarded by a bunch of different information. And then putting it all together, it's usually just like proportion specifically is just distances relative to each other. I know some tricks that I use is like when figuring out the length for things like arms or legs, it's a little harder when your character is like curving their spine or like their arms are up or something, but generally the elbow should, when they're in a resting position where they're standing normally and their arms are just hanging down, the elbow should be at the bottom of the rib cage, which you can help illustrate that by sort of drawing in the rib cage a little bit, generally where it would show up. So the elbow should be at about the bottom of the rib cage. That's a little low, I think. This torso is weirdly long. The wrist generally lines up around with the hips, and the fingertips should be about the middle of the thigh. But of course, the thing with proportions is that everyone is built different and can have like vastly different proportions. Things can be at completely different distances depending on the person. So it's a good jumping off point, but it's always good to throw stuff out there and try something a little different, you know, stretch out the torso a little bit or shrink it. A good trick for making characters look proportionally taller, even when they're on their own and not next to another character, is either lengthening or shortening the torso from what you would normally do. So either their torso looks long, which makes them look tall, or their legs look long, which makes them look tall. Generally having it be less balanced can lead to a character that looks more heightened. Or like, you know, just literally a fun trick you can do is use like selection tools, and you can just grab it and then squish it. If you want to try and make them look shorter or taller, you can like stretch it out, and then from there you draw over it to make it look more accurate proportionally to what they should look like. Anatomy is a really complicated topic, and I'm not necessarily fit to teach it. I've found that while I'm a quick learner, teaching doesn't come naturally to me. But yeah, usually I think the first step is to just pick something specific that you want to figure out and do studies on that. You know, like look up images of real life people, of course, but also other artists' drawings, like really scrutinize and analyze how they draw that like thing that you're trying to learn specifically, and do a little bit of friendly artistic stealing. It sounds bad, I know, but everyone's art is at a certain level influenced by the artists around them. You know, the art that you engage with the most, that you enjoy the most from other people, will influence your art, even minorly. Like I know very specifically, I used to draw shoes relatively differently until I started watching like ABD Illustrates on YouTube, and then I went, wow, I like the way this person draws shoes. I'm gonna scrutinize that and steal it, and I stole it. And I've been doing it long enough that it's not exact anymore. It's shifted and it doesn't look the same as how they do it any longer. But there's still, with the construction, a level of influence that at least I think is visible in my own art compared to older drawings I've done. Just with the general construction of the shoe and that kind of thing. Or like, you know, how artists will specifically draw eyes and faces, or their line art styles, or their coloring choices. Um, that kind of thing. It all slowly feeds in, and so it's generally not the worst thing to like allow a piece of another artist's work to influence you. Uh, and some people have been like, "Oh my goodness, but style theft." Don't listen to them. That's not real. It can't hurt you. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as style theft. It'll never be completely exact. And yeah, there are people who can basically copy another artist's style. Good for them. I'm sure they would do great working with that artist or something. I don't know. There's a reason that a bunch of like animators are able to keep a consistent style in a studio. It's just doing it on purpose, that kind of thing. Uh, it's I don't know. Anatomy is hard to explain, and art in general is kind of hard to explain sometimes. It's a long, winding journey, though, that's for certain. But I think that's half the fun of it, because like learning, at least for me, is an enjoyable experience. I like learning new things, and being able to visually see the improvement is really helpful for me, because, you know, out of sight, out of mind. I don't have great object permanence. Um, but like being able to look back on my older art and then look at my more recent art and go, wow, I've improved, is really nice. And that's one of the great things about art is if you follow the advice of don't delete your art, you get to look back on it later, even if it's a little cringe. I generally follow that advice. I think I've gotten rid of one or two pieces, not regretfully. Mainly, I just removed them from the internet, hopefully. But I tend to keep most of my art, because I think it's good to be able to look back on it and, you know, reminisce, see where you've come from, and, you know, how far you've gone. Certainly better than comparing oneself to other artists. That is never going to work out well, because you'll never look at another artist's work the same way you look at yourselves, and I do mean that in a negative way. Every artist is their own worst critic, or their best advocate, which can be a good thing, and can also be a bad thing, because then their hubris doesn't allow them to improve. Just depends on the person. Usually, though, an artist will mostly see the flaws in their own work instead of the good things. It's a very difficult habit to work through, and, you know, you don't usually get completely out of it because you've spent like so long on a piece that, and you were there for the whole process, so you know all the intricate details. What am I putting him in? He doesn't wear anything like this. Okay. I mean, whatever. I can dress them up in whatever silly outfit I so desire. Yeah, but, you know, I say delete your art jokingly. I stole that line from Drawfee. In the sense of, if you're in the middle of something and it isn't working out, don't be precious with it. You know, fuck it up. Take the eraser tool, make it bigger, erase more. Perhaps start the whole thing over if you think that's the best idea. There's nothing wrong with deleting your art, and there's also nothing wrong with being precious with it, in the sense of copy-pasting it and then deleting it, so that you can hang on to it for later. When you've completed a piece, I think at that point it should have immunity to deletion, because it already exists and is done, and thus it is a good relic for seeing your own progress. And I think deleting those is never a good idea once it's a finished piece, because it's nice to be able to like hang on to that stuff. Okay. Yeah, the fun part about this is I haven't drawn these characters in like months, so I have actually kind of forgotten what they look like. We love abandoning our children in the cold, leaving them out in the cold, in the rain, in the snow, all on their lonesome. I didn't give him his eyes. Oops. And then, oh god, I don't remember what his markings look like. Because I only sort of decided on those recently. I think I gave him the Tabby Cat M, though. Yeah, because his species is like a weird combination of um like fennec foxes, sand cats, and I don't know, general this shape-esque creature. Um, they've got a lot going on for him. My brain is fried from this week. We're getting closer and closer to the holiday season. And I'm so prepared for that, but like, we're not there yet, so my brain is struggling. All in due time. Again, very very excited for the movies I plan on watching, and um oh, I actually plan on going to a cat cafe on Thursday, entirely unrelated. But I'm going to a cat cafe. I've been to one before, and I'm very excited to go again, because they're so cute. You go to the place, you get to have some sick coffee or hot chocolate, and you get to hang out with little kitty cats. And the in the area I'm in, I believe you have to buy a reservation. But like that and the drinks goes towards supporting the cats, and some of the cats are available for adoption, so the cat cafe actually helps in getting the word out that these cats are here looking for their forever home, that kind of thing. It's really nice. I don't plan on adopting a cat there. I'm gonna wait until my plans to move actually kick in, uh, because I want to make sure that I end up at a place that is pet friendly before I get a pet, so I don't have to like separate. That would suck. It'd be very sad. But you know, we'll see. I literally made him a librarian. What have I done? Oh no. This is a travesty. What have I done to my poor boy? This is this is the most librarian I have ever drawn. I don't think I could make anyone look more like a librarian. Well, I could give him the little tiny glasses and the glasses chain. That would really sell it. He doesn't have glasses though. Uh, Librarian coded. Let's get rid of those and remove that. Okay, but other than these three, most of the like actual characters I've made hail from my other story I've got going on. The other like major one, because the one that this guy is from is more of like a minor side project. These three are from a story that I intend to turn into a book one day, hopefully. And then there's the other massive world building project I have going on, which actually, unlike the other one, which very specifically doesn't have magic in it, there's a lot of fantasy characters and stuff, but they don't have magic. But this one does have magic. It's a central part of the story. Somewhat. It's okay, I guess it's more of like a B plot kind of thing. But in this world, there's two kinds of people. Either okay, well, I guess it's kind of like three. Either you have magic, or you don't. But I haven't decided if everyone is capable of it, or if only some. But for now, we're gonna go with some people, however, have the possibility for magic, but it never presented itself in them. You know, they never really got those abilities, it never kicked in, so they aren't considered magic users. However, a magic user can, like specific types of magic users can influence these kinds of people to have that magic present itself. But it's considered by most people to be an unnatural practice, and while it's not like illegal or dangerous or anything, it's often frowned upon because society is weird. But other caveats that come along with this, because it isn't presenting itself naturally, it does have visual, like it causes a visual change. For example, one of the characters is this kind of magic user, and so he's an ice mage. I don't call them mages, but I haven't come up with a name yet. But the way it like visually presented itself on his body was that his hands were, you know, originally normal, but once he got like marcated and was able to use magic, he gained these like markings of like either black or dark blue on his hands and fingertips that look kind of like frostbite. So it looks like he's, you know, got a case of frostbite, but I mean, he's perfectly fine. It doesn't hurt him or anything. It's just a visual effect. But I mean, you know, classic character design. Fade to black at fingertips. Always looks good, let me tell you, without fail. Quality character designing right there. But so he has this sort of, you know, visual effect going on with his hands, which as his like magical prowess progresses, in the sense of he gets better at using it and more familiar with it, it slowly spreads further and further up. As it's kind of like it's settling into his body kind of thing. Again, you know, it doesn't hurt him. It's just a visual effect, but he does tend to, not to follow Disney's Frozen movie. He tends to wear gloves sometimes because again, people are weird about this kind of thing, and while they won't often like be direct about it, people will, you know, they'll look at him funny. He doesn't want the attention or anything though, so he tends to wear gloves sometimes, or like keep his hands in his pockets or something. It's more like a subconscious thing just to avoid conflict because he doesn't want to deal with other people. He's not necessarily ashamed of it. I mean, he asked for someone to do this so that he could have magic, but people suck and are prejudiced. The magic English. The magic system itself, though, is not necessarily complex. I think it's relatively simple. But there are like some caveats to it. So basically, there's different things you can be I'm gonna call it a mage, it's not what it is, like a mage of. There's like those who control water or fire or air or like control water, or they control fire, or they control air. This isn't The Last Airbender, I promise. Or like, earth, basic elements like that. There's influence over light. There is not shadow mages, though, because that's just influence over the absence of light, which inherently would require the influence over light. So this one exists, shadow does not. But these are more broad terms. Generally, people will have like a specific thing that they're good at. For example, an ice mage, they're able to have a decent amount of control over ice. And since nearby that jurisdiction is things like water, they have influence over water, but it's not as strong as if they were trying to use ice magic. Kind of thing, because it's less magic. They're not casting spells, it's just like elemental influence. So like they can manipulate the world around them. An ice mage could take water and very easily and swiftly turn it into ice crystals and use that and move it around and make platforms out of it and make it act strangely, yes, but it's still ice at its core. It's still ice. They're just screwing with the molecules of it. And a water mage, their priority is water. They're best at using water, but they can still influence things like ice or mist or something. And then same with like fire and different types of elemental reactions, and earth and air, and the way that can interact with things like mist or flames. It's all relatively interconnected, and no one is stuck to one extremely specific concept. It's just the further away from that main concept that defines their magical abilities they get, the harder it is for them to have any level of influence or control over something. So I have a character who is his main magical prowess is mist, and he is the naturally presented kind of magic user, where it showed up when he was much younger, and so it, like many other magic users, had an influence over who he ended up being, his career choice or his clothing choices. They're often influenced by someone's magical abilities, which is why people who it doesn't show up when they're younger, but instead they choose to be given the ability, tend to not, they subvert expectations with their magic use, because they tend to not be visually influenced by it other than the marking. They're not gonna like dress the part or necessarily have the tasks in life you'd expect from them. Like the fog mage, or like mist or whatever, he's actually one of my favorite character designs, just because I don't have to draw his eyes. Because his face, I had when I first made him, I decided that his face is always in shadow. Usually because of his hat. He's got this, big dramatic witch's hat thing going on that like instead of, it being just a normal pointed hat or like a bent down pointed hat, it like fizzles off kind of like a cloud, and it's got like this sort of curling motion. Like it's very clearly influenced by his magical abilities, his fashion senses. So he's kind of obvious by it. And then other parts of his clothing are more practically influenced by it instead of aesthetically influenced. You know, his hat obviously looks like a cloud because he controls mist and fog. But he has a sort of like coat jacket thing that it made his waist far too thin. He's got a sort of like coat jacket thing that it's like a rain jacket to protect him and his clothing underneath it from his own magic, you know, condensation and stuff, because he doesn't want to get soaked by the mist he produces. That would be annoying. Because he can pull the water out relatively easily to near insta-dry himself, but that's a lot of effort. So instead, he tends to wear that sort of enclosed raincoat thing going on to keep the water off of himself. And you know, he has like a belt with a lot of sort of sideways pouches, or like sideways strap attachments where things go vertically through it instead of horizontally, to hold like bottles or like pouch clips, so that he can hang on to like quick access water so that he can use his abilities. Because, you know, he's not always going to be in an area that just happens to have water. So even if it's a small amount, because he's specifically a fog mage, he can do a lot with a little. So he'll take that small amount of water and he'll turn it into mist, and he can be very specific with where it concentrates, allowing him to, you know, obscure certain people's vision for a getaway reason, or, you know, confuse animals or creatures around him to avoid danger, that kind of thing. And so he's very blatantly visually influenced by his abilities. But there is another character, you know, the Ice Mage, who didn't naturally acquire his abilities. And so he's not, or it's not that he didn't naturally acquire them. They didn't show up when he was younger. But so he's not necessarily visually influenced by his ice abilities. And these two, they actually meet up. They make a great team. Because it's, while the ice guy can move ice around, it's a slow process because you're trying to move a solid object, and it really doesn't like that. But if you're trying to move a gas, that works a lot easier. So they can work together relatively easily, where, you know, he'll move the substance around and the Ice Mage will solidify it, because they're both working with water. So, you know, they do relatively well together. But, you know, generally the ice guy isn't gonna look like what you'd expect an ice mage to, because it didn't show up when he was younger. It was something that he specifically asked to be granted by another magic user, which is what allowed him to be able to use ice magic in the first place. So he just looks like your average non-magic user. He's a fencer though, so he looks slightly uppity, I'd say. And his brother, who is like they both got into sport. He did fencing. His brother did general swords, kind of, well, not general swords, but like the kind of sword you'd expect like a knight or a guard to have, that kind of thing. And that's actually a major story point, is that his brother ends up working for the Queen's Guard. Well, not the queen, a queen. There's several layers to hierarchies in the different areas, the different like kingdoms or settlements, whether or not they have monarchies or a different kind of governmental system. It really depends on where you are in the world. But this specific area does have a queen, but there's also I don't necessarily know what to call them. I've currently been referring to them as the court, but they're a secondary governmental system. So it's not entirely a monarchy. She isn't a figurehead. Like she isn't necessarily just for show. She does have influence, but not as much as if it were just her. She's actually a magic user too, funnily enough. The Ice Mage's brother is not a magic user though. He has sort of semi-fire theming just for the contrast between ice and fire, but he doesn't have any magic. And then yeah, there's like the contrasting heights for the sake of visual flair. Erase the inside. What else is there to talk about? Yeah, the thing is with these characters, all of them are like half done, and like their stories are like a quarter tended to. I get distracted and jump between them all, and then go do other things with different characters, and then go do fan art, and then get distracted and watch YouTube. I've kind of their stories have been on the back burner a little bit for a while, I think. But I'm generally still slowly working on fleshing them out because I think they're interesting and I'm having a good time. And what better a reason to watch? That's not the right word. What better a reason to create than if you're having fun? Ooh, I will say with this character specifically, the Ice Mage, he's certainly jaded. I wouldn't say he's I would not say he's on the asshole levels of these three. Certainly not. He's a decent person. You know, he's flawed, but everyone is. That's a part of life. So there's shit for him to work through, character development to be had, but you know, generally at heart, he's a good person. I'd say that's the plan. The plan could change, I don't know, but probably not. But his worldview is a little skewed by the events of his life, just a bit. You know, he's struggled with loss and the effects of it. Him and his brother never knew their father, and their mom certainly died young. So they've been alone with just each other for quite a while. And they aren't the best at coping. Their coping skills minimal, but the copium, puffing it hard. I'd say I jest, but not really. But so they're not really great at like talking to each other or figuring things out, and it causes issues in general and between both of them, uh, leading to some problems down the line in the story itself. And those issues only make him specifically more bitter about it. He's a little bit dramatic, but you know, for fair reason, I'd say. Because neither of them ever really got the chance to learn how to develop the proper coping skills to exist. So when shit hits the fan, neither of them really know what to do about it. And that certainly causes a lot of issues. It's kind of a miscommunication plot, but more because they're both idiots, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not exactly fond of, you know, everything goes wrong because these two just won't talk to each other things. But I am kind of writing that right now. That is kind of what's going on in their story a little bit. A lot of it is like the manipulation these two have faced from others, or differing experiences that they haven't quite managed to explain to each other properly, that have led to those miscommunications because they just don't really know how to talk about it. So they end up screwing shit up because neither of them know how to talk to each other or how to fix their problems. They figure it out in the end, though. But it's certainly a journey, and they both grow up a bit. By the end of it is the plan. You know, they learn and grow as people and figure out how to exist. In a world that never really gave them the chance to learn without, like, with that safety net. They got the rug pulled out from under them a little too early, and it made things a little complicated. They love each other though. You know, they have their rough patches. They're siblings after all, but you know, at their core, they both have a deep level of care and love for each other, and they just want what's best for each other. Even if this fucker over here won't admit to it half the time. Although he's not necessarily that, like, closed off about, you know, caring for his brother. I mean, half of the shit he does is to try and get his brother back. No, his big issue, this fucker's problem, is he is incapable of caring for himself. You know, he was the older one, not by a ton, but by enough. So he kind of tends to either put others first or just not really feel comfortable talking about his own issues. Like he's very closed off when it comes to discussing things that bother him. Which leads to a great scenario where this big dumb idiot gets handled with a mild level of care once. By an adult figure being slightly kind to him and, you know, doing what is basically his job, which is to heal and help people. And this dumb idiot bursts out into tears because, you know, it's been years since someone's been this nice to him and this kind and gentle, and he doesn't know what to do with it. He's just a silly little guy. I don't know. I started drawing that scene. I'm very excited to finish it. 'Cause I think it's fun. You know, it's the classic character who thinks they don't need help and is always going on about how they're perfectly fine and they don't need anyone else, suddenly being treated with kindness and going, huh, what? You know, like the character that could handle being in the middle of a war zone in a battle, getting the absolute crud kicked out of them, you know, covered in injuries, they're perfectly fine. They are the one nice thing said to them and they shatter into a million pieces. I heard the start to that song and thought it was a very different song for a second. That sounded like the YMCA song, the like... Oh god, how do I even describe that? I think I've been awake too long. I've heard these songs before. It's the same playlist every stream. It's never anything new. Except for the times where I had autoplay on. What even is this song, actually? Slip and Slide. Stream beats by Harris Heller. Sick. I've made him look relatively boyish. That's not right. Like, he's, you know, he's not an old man, but he's not, like, 19 either. Well, I guess I could just draw a younger version of him. I think I fixed it. A little facial hair always helps. Does he have mustache? Absolutely not. No, he's got scruff, that's about it. I'm not really sure where to go with this. Because it's just the general concept of my OCs. I have so many options. I have so many of them. I have like over 70, I think. Because I counted once and it was too many. Way too many. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the number is like over 70. It's bad. I don't remember half of them properly, but they are there. And then, you know, of course, that wasn't counting that was before I counted the newer ones that I've been slowly coming up with, which may solidly put us in the category of 80 of them, which is a lot, which is a strikingly large amount of characters, considering the way I write characters. I tend to go overboard in the story department. I can never really just have them because they're pretty. There's always more to it. There's always gotta be some sort of, like, story going on, or like, you know, like a proper plot for it, even if it's a minor one. So over 80 characters is kind of too many. Hot take. I think his hair is too high up. Yeah, I think that works. Yeah, because his hair is something like this. It's mostly, this isn't like a shaved side, it's just pulled back into a ponytail, but only really with this one side's worth of hair. Yeah, I don't know. I like my silly little guys, though. They're fun to think about is the thing. Because regardless if I make anything of most of them, I get the chance to think about them and their stories, and I can daydream about animatics that I'll never make. It's always fun to just have, like, characters that you can... Wow, that does a lot. Characters that you can just, like, screw around with and just have a bit of fun. That looks bizarre. Learning about new tools is always fun. Yeah, because I found this one, like, I think a stream or two ago, but it's just a blend tool, which doesn't exist in Metabang Paint, at least for mobile. So having a blend tool here is a miracle. Because I started trying to learn how to paint in Metabang, and I'm never doing that ever again. Because I want to learn how to paint. It sounds really fun. Digital painting. I mean, I have acrylics, but that's a whole different ballpark from digital painting, I'd say. Because it's a lot less physical, at least in the way that I understand it. Because, like, I can wrap my head around how to put paint on canvas and how to layer said paint on canvas in a real physical setting with real physical paint. But once you make the paint digital, I don't really understand what's happening. So I'm starting to figure that one out bit by bit. Oh right, he's left-handed. We'll give him his sword, methinks. I need to put that here. And then we have a fancy cuff, because why not? And then the dramatic sleeve, because again, why not? And then we erase what is underneath so as to not detract from what is meant to be visible. Okay, and that is certainly not right. This would go to about here, I think. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, so we... pull the sleeve out slightly, and there's that. Well, actually, it'd probably go a little further to the right. Let's just rotate this a bit. Just a smidge, just like to there. I think that looks good. We deselect the area. Readjust the bits that were moved, and there you go. Would you look at that? An arm. Magical. Now, obviously, this isn't what he would wear when he's actually fencing. He would be wearing fencing gear, because safety first. But, oh god, what does a fencing sword look like? Or, no, it's called a rapier. It has the handle bit. I believe there is a shell that goes over the hand. There's like a hand guard. Something like that, I think. Yeah, that feels about right. I feel like it tends to be more round than that. Like more of a half circle than a quarter circle. Not exactly, but like closer. Well, regardless, from there is the... Oh! Shift changes mouse size. Interesting. Okay, well, line tool. I think it'd be like that long. That's a bit large of a size. Let's... That's a little small. Maybe like 10-ish. That works. I think that'd go about there, and I should make that longer. I should also probably straighten it out properly. There we go. Something like that. I think a rapier is a little longer than that, but I could also be wrong. I haven't looked at one in a while. That's another neat, funky, hot artist tip. Use references. Look at references. People who say references is cheating, they're wrong. No ifs, ands, or buts. I have no tolerance for those people who are like, oh, you're not a real artist unless you draw from memory. How do you get the memory without using the references in the first place? And besides, your art will look better if you use references. Trust me. I don't tend to use references on stream, but whenever I'm drawing, well, okay, I use it occasionally for characters that I like really don't remember what they look like, or have like a really complicated design, but generally I will use references off stream just because it's annoying to have like an image in the corner that I'm like zooming in on a bunch randomly. It makes, you know, like, I'd just rather not usually. But I will almost always have references when I'm drawing offline because they are very, very, very helpful. Well, I should probably clarify what this character's role in the story is. Because there's the whole plot line of the family drama going on between this guy and his brother, and how he joined the Queen's Guard, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. This character is sort of meant to end up being like a friend to the Ice Mage. So him and his him and his partner, cowboy style. They end up being, you know, like they're side characters technically, I guess. Which it feels wrong to think of them as side characters because they've never felt that way to me, especially because they like came first. I made them before the Ice Mage character and his brother ever existed in the story. But I didn't have a lot of plans for them. Like I didn't really have anything that like struck me as intriguing. Uh so they've been somewhat relegated to side characters, but like they're still rather pertinent to the story. I say they because there's this mage character, Fog Mage, and then his partner in crime. They don't do crime. They mainly do commissions and forages for the healer friend of theirs who makes potions for the local business, etc., etc. There's a big ol' community in the town that they tend to hang around. But there's him and then his dragon buddy, who I've found has a lot of family because I keep adding more characters to the dragon guy's family. I keep making more of them, and I really should stop because I don't usually go that far into a character's extended family. But like we have his parents and his sisters, uh, a sort of like uncle figure, but he's not actually related to him. I nearly made another character his aunt before realizing I had been doing that too much, and so I decided to keep her separate. But then there's also his actual uncle, um, and then his uncle's boyfriend, who is basically his uncle at this point because, you know, they've been together for a while. Like, they've been really close for a while, and they got together a little more recently relative to the story, kind of technically, but like they've been really close for a while, so you know the boyfriend was kind of a part of the family a long while ago. They like him. They think he's cute. They think he's just a silly little guy. I'm quite fond of that character though. The uncle's boyfriend character, flower mage kind of thing. He has control over like plants, mostly like vines and flowers kind of thing. And my favorite design element about him is that he's got like, it sounds weird when you describe it properly, but he basically has like seeds embedded in his scalp that act similarly to hair follicles. So there are some places on his head where instead of hair growing from the hair follicle, there's just a vine. You know, sometimes it'll grow thorns afterwards, but usually it tends to be smooth, and then it can sometimes sprout flowers. So there's some fun instances of that because like a magic user's magic is directly tied to them in a way. You know, it's like a distinct part of them, even those who had it, you know, show up later in life. So the flowers can reflect his emotional state sometimes. You know, if he's not doing too hot, they'll like wilt. Or if he's doing great, you'll watch them bloom in real time. Or if he's pissed as fuck, the vines will grow thorns or something. And you know, it's often different flowers and such, but I don't know. I think it's really fun for me because I get to play around with a bunch of different flowers and interesting ways to intermix vines and plant matter into a character's physical body, which I think is fun because it's just he's a little guy with flowers in his hair all the time. Free flower crown 24/7. Who else is there? Yeah, because there's those characters, and then the healer potions maker is sort of the mentor of Fog Mage and his dragon guy friend. You know, he sort of like he taught them how to find a lot of things and like acquire a lot of stuff that they've used for commission purposes. And you know, the potions maker will commission them directly because he used to go out and adventure and forage for his own materials and stuff, but eventually it got to the point where he was just like, it's not worth it. The dangers of some areas where I need to get ingredients and the pain that comes with it, because with his chronic pain issues, he kind of got a little sick of it, and he still does go out and forage for his own stuff sometimes, but he'll usually commission for it just to avoid the ramifications later, instead of like he'll usually commission people instead of like leading to himself having to deal with the effects of pushing his body past what it's fond of. Regardless, he's real cool though. I like him. But he'll make like potions and such for the what is happening here? He'll make potions for the nearby shop to sell. So there's a little economy going on over here. You got adventurers getting things, potion makers paying them for that, and then stores paying for the potions, and then travelers come by and buy the stuff from the store, and it all circles around. But him and the shopkeep, they're really close friends. Him and her have been friends for a good chunk of time. I don't think they met when they were kids. I haven't fleshed out the timeline on that yet, but I am relatively certain that they've known each other for a long while before he met the fog mage and the dragon guy. I call them the kids. They're certainly not children. They're young adults, but I mean, he sees them as like, oh yeah, the kids who help me get my ingredients. Jokingly, of course. It's all in good fun. I quite enjoy his character design. Mainly because so far, it's just my favorite things to put on a character. Cozy, fantastical, a wizard, a little bit of dark academia in there, brown hair, glasses. Does he wear glasses? I don't actually remember, I'll be honest. Again, it's been a while since I've drawn any of my own characters. I am quite fond of him. This canvas is covered in scribbles. But yeah, there's a whole lot of peeps in this story so far. Because I think I've generally got solid concepts down. Maybe not solid concept art, but solid concepts down for the Fog Mage, the Dragon Friend, his sister, uncle, the librarian, who is not actually his uncle, but kind of acts like a mentor to him. The other dragon lady, who is entirely unrelated. Flower guy, potions maker, shopkeep, potions maker guy, shopkeep lady, and ice mage, his brother, and the queen. And then a secret other character who is the big bad and plays a large role in the story because he is, I guess because it is the big bad. Very unfortunately, I don't get to talk about it then. Mainly because I don't want to say anything now since I haven't fully solidified how he bigs and bads. But he is there, and he is very spooky, and a little bit otherworldly. I've squished his face too much. I tend to do that a lot. I've noticed that, like, when I draw characters' faces, they sort of just, like, migrate downwards for some reason. Just, like, slowly getting more and more squished into the bottom of their heads. It certainly makes it difficult to draw anything even mildly expressive. Okay. Starting to get late. My dinner time's showing up soon, which is mostly why I end stream at this time, because, or not this time, but I tend to end it at like 7:30 for me. 7:38, for the sake of food. Yummy. Tasty consumables. So I'll probably finish him up really quickly. And then likely cut it there. Especially because while my streams are usually rather chill, today has been an incredibly EP stream. My sleep schedule's been way out of whack due to responsibilities of mine requiring me to be up at certain times, and my brain being like, oh, what if we didn't though? What if we stayed awake until 4 in the morning? It's like, no, that's not convenient to me. Okay, yeah, I'll be completely honest, this looks nothing like him. I think I need to go look at a reference image of my own character because I have missed the mark by a mile. Like, he looks neat, but this is not the same character. Yeah, well, I say finish, but am I going to bother drawing his outfit? Probably not, honestly. Well, I should. Yeah, because I'll, like, draw a character's anatomy and then never actually continue after that. So we'll have, like, the body and the head, and then I'll forget to draw the clothes. What does he wear again? Right, he's got, like, funky, almost robes outfit kind of thing going on. He's cozy. He's so very cozy. You have no idea. I think I'll put him in a shirt for now, though. And then have some pockets on there. Bammo shablammo, he's got pants on. The magic of art. With just a few lines, you can instantly clothe a character. And then we add some cloth wrinkles to the knee area, and we give him some rolled up sleeves because why not? I feel like he'd roll his sleeves up. He doesn't want to get potion materials on him. Although, at the same time, if he is doing actually dangerous potion stuff, he does have proper safety gear for that. Because potions, not very much different from chemistry. Very important, safety first. You don't want to get injured. It's never fun. Chemical burns are no joke, besties. Alright. It is, 7:18 at this point, and I can't think of much more to draw or talk about. I will say, though, that, December is coming up, and I do plan on this year doing, 2 art request streams. Because, I don't know, spirit of the season or something. They'll both be on Fridays. The real question is, what days are what? Good question. Yeah, the 8th and the 22nd. Mainly only doing 2 because I don't have too much time in December, and so I do want to be able to focus on some of my own stuff, but I also enjoy doing request streams in general because it means I get to draw fun stuff. Or just draw whatever I want if no one requests anything. So, double win for me. But, you know, I will be doing those if anyone still listening is interested in joining in and getting some free art. Yeah, so it's 7:20 now. I appreciate any of you for coming by. Always great to have company in chat. General information, I stream art on Tuesdays and Fridays, and I stream games on Saturdays, 5 p.m. PST for all of those. Generally, we have a relatively chill time here. Gaming-wise, we've been playing Hollow Knight. Art-wise, it's all over the place. Hoping that I can finish up those the Hollow Knight games soon, because there are plenty of other games that I want to play on stream that I'm real excited to get into. Thank you for coming by, no matter what time it may be. I hope you have a wonderful morning, noon, or night. And yeah, bye-bye.